If looking at your bank account fills you with deep sense of anxiety, I need you to take a deep breath. Seriously, let your shoulders drop. You aren't bad with money. You are just never taught how to use it. Most of us are taught how to earn a paycheck and exactly how to spend it. We are rarely taught how to grow the money or how to make it work for us. Let me make one thing straight. Building wealth in your 20s is not about becoming a millionaire overnight, nor it's about obsessing over every single penny. Rather, it's about shifting your mindset by taking control of small decisions and finally learning the rule of wealth. Welcome to Finance for Noob. I am Toj Efren, and it has been 7 years since I started my business from scratch on my 18th birthday. In this time, I have gained a ton of experience points, and today I am here to share some of those with you. We will cover total of 10 steps to get your money right in your 20s. Step number 1 is the lens. In psychology, it's about identifying and shifting your money attachment style. Now, to identify your money attachment style, you will need to understand these 3 steps: secure, anxious, and avoidant. Let's go through them one by one. If you refuse to look at your bank statement or track your spending just because it is simply too scary, then my friend, you are avoidant type. Basically, you run from the reality. Similarly, if looking at your bank accounts fills you with dread, stress, and fear of not having enough, then you are the anxious type. However, if you feel safe and calm talking about finance, learning about finance, and managing your finance, then you come under secure type. Let's do a quick recap. If you run away from your problem, you are the avoidant type. If you face your problem but get anxious, then you are anxious type. And if you feel safe and calm about your problem, then you are a secure type. Now that we are done with identifying part, we need to move to shifting. By shifting, I mean we need to shift to secure type. For that, you don't need to be rich or overly confident to pull this off. Rather, you just need to stop hiding and understand that money is simply the resource and the currency, not the root of all evil. So, start looking through a clear lens, because the reason we have this broken lens in the first place is the echo. You need to rewrite your inherited money script. Your financial habits are heavily influenced by the environment you grew up in. These deeply ingrained beliefs are known as cognitive script. If you grew up hearing things like money is hard to make or that rich people are greedy, subconsciously your brain absorbs those beliefs. This echo can lead to serious self sabotage. If you believe having money makes you a bad person, your brain will subconsciously force you to spend all the money you have just so that you can be a good person. So, this step number 2 is to actively challenge that specific programming. Sit down and write out 3 things you are taught about money growing up. Ask yourself if those beliefs actually serve you today. Then consciously rewrite them. For example, you can change the belief that money is selfish into money is fuel of generosity. Turn off the old echo and start a new one. Once you fix your mindset, you will need to fix your action. And here comes the habit number 3. You must focus on decisions, not just income. It's a massive myth that you will finally be good with money once you earn a higher salary. Science actually shows that your internal locus of control is what predicts your financial well-being. Let me say that simpler. The internal locus of control is just the belief that you influence your own outcomes. It means you grab the oars and row the boat instead of letting the wind push the boat. People who take responsibility for their actions are significantly more likely to budget, save, and recover from financial stress. You don't have an income problem, you have a decision problem. Make these small financial decisions today, regardless of how much you earn. Set up a free budgeting app, cancel one unused subscription, or transfer just $5 into a saving account. Let's do a quick recap. Focus on making active decisions, not just chasing the higher income. Develop an internal locus of control, aka the belief that you own your own outcomes. And remember, you don't have an income problem, you have a decision problem. For that, try making 3 changes, like downloading a budget app, canceling an unused subscription, or transferring $5 to any saving account. Take a look at this and let's move to next step. How do we make saving effortless? For that, we have habit number 4, the vault. You need to automate your freedom fund. There's a very powerful psychological trick. What we mentally label as available is what we spend. If your entire paycheck sits in your main checking account, your brain views all of it as spendable cash. It's like leaving a whole jar of cookie on the counter. Eventually, you will eat them all. That's why relying purely on willpower to save whatever is left at the end of the month almost always leaves you with zero. Instead, follow Warren Buffett's golden rule. Don't save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. Here is exactly how you do this. Open a secondary bank account. Don't call it saving. Label it as something inspiring like your freedom fund. The day you get paid, separate 10 to 20% and set up an automatic transfer to this account. Make your saving invisible so you don't even miss the money. It's like buying a snack by physically going to the store. Because to save money, the first thing you need to do is remove the friction. Why? I've already explained the psychology behind it. That your brain thinks the money it sees as spendable cash. So you just need to make sure that it do not see it. And the most important thing is to first save and then to spend. To save, you can open a secondary bank account and give it an appetizing name and divide some of your income and save it there. Now that you are automatically saving 20% of your income, what to do about the rest? Habit number 5, the slice is just what you need. You must budget by after tax percentage, not face value. A massive trap in your 20s is competing with the lifestyle of others. You might see a friend driving a luxury car, not realizing that their monthly payment consumes their entire salary or that they already have that much money. That's why measuring your wealth by sheer amount of money you spend invites intense financial pressure. Stop looking at the numbers and look at the percentage. Calculate your lifestyle based on your net income. Net income is what you walk away with after the taxes and the deduction. You need to understand you can't budget based on the size of a pizza box. You can only budget based on the slice you get to eat. And this slice is what you get after paying the taxes and all the deductions. So for the rest amount of money, I would like to recommend 50-30-20 rule. Allocate 50% of your net income to the needs like rent, groceries, essentials, 30% to wants like hobbies or dining out or going to a club, 20% to saving and investing. We are already done with the saving part. Because we have a global audience, I want to be very clear about one thing. Tax deductions vary widely depending on where you live. So always consult a local CA or a regional financial officer. Don't do a guesswork with your taxes. As this year I almost screwed up big time. Anyway, let's quickly synthesize what we learned so far. We learned to view our money more securely. We learned to identify our inherited money beliefs and we learned to take control of our financial decisions. We also built a wall to automate our saving. And finally, we understood net income to actually get to know what is our actual take home pay. But what if you are dragging a heavy anchor behind your new built boat? That brings us to habit number 6, the tide. You must decode and conquer your debt. Many are taught that debt are inherently evil. This leads to a fear based avoidance of learning how debt actually works. Listen closely. You can't beat a system you don't understand. Stop looking to debt as a one giant bubble. Pick one of your debt like a student loan or a credit card debt and break down exactly how it functions. For that you will need to memorize two terms. The first is APR, also called annual percentage rate, and the second is your credit score. APR is basically the interest rate you are charged annually on the money you borrow. Think of APR like a hole in a bucket, and that bucket is your credit card. As credit cards generally have dangerously high APRs, they can sometimes go as high as 25%. Now, because this hole is so huge, your interest grows rapidly if not paid in time. And interlinked with that is your credit score. Credit score is a 3-digit number that represents your reliability as a borrower. As you pay your debt on time and avoid penalties, your reliability score increases, which allow you to get loan at a much lower interest rate in the future. So by patching this hole, you prove that you are trustworthy. To handle APR and credit score properly, you need to separate your debt concept. High interest debt like credit cards require urgent and aggressive payoff. Lower interest debt like student loan often can be managed steadily while you build your savings. So once you finally lift your debt anchor, your first instinct might be to sprint to a stock market and invest the money. In that case, hold your horses. Habit number 7 is the root, and it's all about building financial literacy before investing your money anywhere. Impulse buying triggers short-term dopamine, but financial literacy builds long-term wealth. In today's digital age, you will be constantly pressured to jump into the next get-rich-quick scheme. Influencers will tell you to throw half your life savings into volatile crypto or NFTs without even them truly understanding it. And those moves always end up in panic selling, which leads to massive losses. So remember this phrase: the more you learn equals to the more you earn. Money grows when your brain grows first. So swap 10 minutes of your daily social media to learning the basic concept. Remember, grow your root. Start by understanding compound interest. Basically, it is when the interest you earn on your money begins to earn the interest on itself, creating exponential growth over time. A snowball effect is perfect to understand compounding. Picture a snowball rolling down the hill, gathering more and more snow, increasing in size as it goes. This bigger snow is what we call compounding. If we remove the smaller snow, then we will need to start from scratch. You will also need to understand inflation. This is the rate of which the general cost of goods rises. That's why your cash loses its purchasing power over time if it is not invested. As the price of the world around you goes up, think of inflation as a slow, invisible leak in your tire, where the leak is your purchasing power and the tire is your cash. You have to invest just to keep the tire inflated, aka balance the inflation. If inflation is at 4%, then you will need to increase the quantity of your money by 4% just to maintain your purchasing power. Naturally, as you learn more, you will likely start earning more. But still, watch out for habit number 8, the trap, which is also formerly known as golden handcuff. As your income grows, wanting nicer thing is completely normal. Problem arises when your lifestyle perfectly matches or even exceeds that rising income, aka your saving becomes zero or even negative, trapping you in the process or the loop. These golden handcuffs create a situation where you are forced to stay in your job you absolutely hate simply because you need that massive paycheck to fund your lavish lifestyle or the future or the retirement because you don't have any money for that. Imagine upgrading to a beautiful $4,000 a month luxury apartment only to realize you now have to work 80 hours a week in a toxic office culture just to make a living, or to be more precise, just to survive. It's a beautiful cage, but it is still a cage. That's why don't confuse lifestyle with wealth. Keep your core living expenses low enough that you always retain your freedom to take a pay cut for your dream career, start a business, or walk away from a toxic work environment. Save to stay free, not to look rich. If you are hearing all this and feeling a bit suffocated, you are experiencing exactly what habit number 9 is for: the focus. It cures financial fatigue through simplification. Failing to stick to a budget does not mean that you are lazy. It usually means you are just overwhelmed. Facing many small, unresolved financial decisions leads straight to decision fatigue. This mental exhaustion directly triggers impulsive spending and avoidance. Trying to fix everything at once is like trying to learn 5 different languages on the exact same day and the exact same time. Your brain simply can't handle it because going cold turkey for anything almost always backfires. That's why simplify before you scale. Don't try to fix your credit score, open an investment account, pay off a car, and cut your grocery bill all on the same time. Pick one financial goal for the next 30 days and track only that. Give yourself permission to focus. Once you have focused your energy and build a strong financial foundation, it's time for the final piece of puzzle: the flow. It's the ultimate secret to true wealth. You must practice intentional generosity. When money gets tight, the most impulsive instinct is to hoard it. Yet, psychology shows that intentional giving actually improves our well being, motivation, and optimism. Money acts as an amplifier, making you more of who you already are. If you are a generous person, having more money simply allows you to be more generous. Don't wait until you are wealthy to start giving. Generosity shifts your energy towards money and actively builds an abundant mindset. Think of it like opening a window in a stuffy room. You need to let the stale air out before the fresh air can come in. That's why try giving something small this week. Whether it's $5, maybe a food, anything. Volunteering your time or sharing a valuable skill with someone else. And watch out how your relationship with money completely changes when it serves others. That's it. Let's meet in the next video where we will cover all the types of available investment options for beginner, and don't forget to subscribe.